Woohoo! Greetings, BDR community, and thank you for tuning in tonight. We're doing another live broadcast, and this time we're here premiering the Oregon Backcountry Discovery Routes film. And while we're waiting on everyone to tune in, I'm here in the studio without my usual sidekick, Paul Gillian, but I've got Nathan Fant and Bryce Stevens, who are the co-architects of the route. So we're just going to talk while we wait for everyone to tune in.
You made that sound like you got stuck with us.
I appreciate you guys coming in. I think people will love to hear what you have to say. Mm-hmm. So why don't we kick it off with, give me 3 words that describe the Oregon route for you, Nathan.
Well, the first word that would describe it for me would be remote. You know, especially in the southeast portion of the Oregon route, but you'll find many places in the Oregon route where, you know, we say this in a lot of routes that they're remote, but especially in Southeast Oregon, it's very remote. The next would be transition, because this different sections of the route, you go from high desert to pine forest and then into the Cascade mountain range. And, you know, as you're transitioning through those sections, you get to experience riding through different areas and experiences. So the sights change as you go. And then the last word for me would be fun, because honestly, riding in the backcountry and any BDR, but especially my home state, that is just my ideal version of fun.
Yeah. What about you, Bryce?
It's a fun route. Oh, I can't say those words, right? I'd say rocks is probably one of my top words, because you're going to come across a lot of rocks on this. Volcanoes, lava, those are probably my other 2 words. I mean, Oregon is the state's like a big volcano. With vents all over the place, and as you ride this route, you're going to see rocks everywhere. You'll be dodging rocks. You're going to be trying not to pop your tires and get a flat tire. I mean, and we had a bunch of them on our ride, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How many flat tires did you guys have?
I think it was 5, including the support truck.
Yeah. So, and all of us were dealing with that. We're riding extra careful not to try and be the next guy to get a flat tire. So I'd say, you know, it's a really rocky route. You think you've been in the Rocky Mountains, but you're in the Cascades. So,
and it's also very sandy too, right?
It is in places. This route is going to be a little bit of a chameleon. The early part of the season, it's going to be less sandy, less silt, and more embedded rocks. And then later in the season, right, Nathan, everything kind of loosens up, and you're going to see a lot more sand and a lot more silt.
Yeah, because some of the areas, especially in the southern portion of the route, are exposed to a lot of sun. There isn't a lot of trees down there. As we get hotter and hotter and longer sun in the day, it tends to dry out the soil, and that makes it softer and softer, and the silt gets deeper.
Yeah. So later in the season too, with more cars, more motorcycles, especially this year, we're gonna have a huge deluge of motorcycles on this. Late in the season, I've been down there in September and had really deep sand. And then the same roads in July are hard packed, and you're riding fast and not worried about sand at all. So, yeah. And I know that, like on the luge, for example, I know you ran into mud. Uh-huh. So we've seen that section, for example, in 3 different states. So you don't know what you're going to get, you know, and it depends on when you're riding in the season. So,
What is the level of technical skill that riders should have when they travel this route? I know we try not to. Mark the routes in terms of difficulty, but kind of on the scale of easy to very hard, where would you place it?
Yeah, I would say probably intermediate to upper intermediate. It is one of the harder routes that we have. The skills that you're going to need are all about sand and rocks, and it's not everywhere in the route that you're going to find that. Right. There are fun, flowy gravel roads with beautiful forests, so you get that break. But you really do need to bring your A game with, knobby tires and good skills. Recommend getting some training before you do the route if you're not sure. So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, control room, are we getting enough people to kick off the broadcast officially? Okay, control room says, yes, it is time. So we welcome you all to the online screening of the Oregon BDR Expedition documentary film. I'm Ina Thorn, Executive Director of the BDR organization, and I'm here with co-architects of this route, Bryce Stevens, who also happens to be a co-founder of the BDR organization and the architect of 5 or 6 BDR routes. Yep. And of course, Nathan Fant, who is our superstar ambassador, longtime supporter. Thank you so much for joining us. And We're broadcasting live from Seattle, Washington.
Yeah, we're here tonight continuing our tradition of celebrating the BDR community. That's you guys. And bringing you a fun evening of adventure motorcycle entertainment. So, as you may know, the Oregon BDR is our latest and greatest project that we've produced to date. The film has been touring around for the last 3 months, from screening in 70 different cities around the country. So that's pretty impressive. And then thanks to our BDR ambassadors who have helped us organize those screenings. Also, big thank you to motorcycle dealerships, clubs, and individuals for hosting these events.
Yeah, we have had an extremely successful film tour, and we're excited to finally present this film to all of you tonight. So the plan for tonight is to screen the first part of the film for about 40 minutes. Then we'll take 15-minute intermission to answer some of the questions that you guys can put in the chat while you're watching the film. And then we'll answer those questions during the intermission, and then we'll play the second part of the film.
And this film will be available on our YouTube channel for free starting tomorrow. So if you know anybody who missed the film, let them know they can watch it at any time on our YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/ridebdr.
And of course, there's a special component to our presentation tonight. It's a fundraising component. BDR riders have been generous over the years, supporting our organization and helping us continue to deliver on our mission of creating and preserving adventure riding opportunities. So tonight, if you feel compelled to donate to the BDR, your donation of $75 or more, with that donation, you will receive a commemorative gift from us. It's a toiletry bag or a packing cube, if you wish. It's embroidered with the BDR logo, and you can store your food or toiletries or tires, your tools or anything that you wish to take with you on the BDR trip.
Maybe not tires, but
Not
definitely
tires.
tubes.
Definitely tubes. So you can donate by going to ridebdr.com/Oregon. Any donation over $75, you'll receive this commemorative gift from us. Thank you so much for supporting the BDR mission. So we know there was a huge interest in the community about the release of this route. People were emailing us for the last 5 years asking, when is this route going to finally come out? So we want to take this opportunity to give you guys some information on the route for those of you who are planning to ride it in the coming season. But first, since we have the route co-architects here, Bryce, I want to ask you to share with the community what it took to develop this route and how we came back to Oregon, because Oregon is where it all started for the BDR organization. The original set of Oregon routes was created by the Oregon Off-Highway Vehicle Association in the 2000s. Mm-hmm. And then the TourTech USA crew rode that route along with filmmaker Sterling Noreen. They made a film about it. They posted it online. And then you watched that film.
I did. Around 2010 is when I saw the video, and I was inspired by it. Couldn't believe there was a route like this for adventure motorcyclists. And I thought, why shouldn't I create one for our state, Washington, where I live? And so I did just that. I created a route. I wound up getting connected with the TourTech guys and Sterling and found out, hey, I've got a funding source and I've got somebody who can make movies. Let's create one for Washington. And that's what we did. The Washington BDR wound up, it was the founding of our organization. Mm-hmm. So I didn't get to ride the original Oregon route until 2012. When I did it, I got to ride it with Sterling, and he captured B-roll footage, which I still don't know if that's been released on YouTube yet. But I knew at some point in the future we would be creating our own Oregon BDR that would be different and complementary to the original Oregon BDR route. I just didn't know when it was going to happen. Fast forward to 2016, I did a scouting mission across the state. Some of the route that we scouted, we wound up keeping. Some of it we threw away, but kind of got the ball rolling. And in 2019, I got connected with Nathan, and I reached out to my friend Dave Walks, who is an expert of roads and routes in Oregon, and a few other friends, including Bill Whitaker and Whitney Caberly. And we had this great team, this scouting team. In 2019, by the time we were done with that, we pretty much had a route. It wasn't this route, but it was a route that we needed to kind of refine, and it was good. Then Nathan really helped me take it to the next level.
Yeah, I got involved actually starting at the Tour Tech Rally. I think it was the year before. No, it was 2019 when I got involved, and I talked to Paul Gillian. I said, "Hey, how do I get involved with the BDR? I want to contribute, and I especially want to be a part of helping to develop the Oregon BDR in my home state." So thanks for that inspiration.
By the time we were done with that,
it was really really great to connect with you, Bryce, and get into that scouting mission in 2019. And then I was so inspired by that mission that every weekend after that, up until literally the snow didn't let us, I was scouting any section that we needed to refine. My wife, Chris Fant, and I, who's also an ambassador, we were out there scouting, and every weekend, every following summer until, pretty much the release of the route, we've been out scouting it and working with you to help refine the tracks. And so it's been really great to work with you.
So it took 7 years to create the Oregon route.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, it did. Very intensive over the last few years, although in 2020 we had the fires.
Yeah, 2020 was a historically terrible fire season for the state of Oregon. I think it was something like 500,000 acres burned in the state. It's really tragic. But when I found out where it was burning, it hit me so hard I almost had a panic attack because I saw that the town of Detroit, which is a key stopover point on the Oregon BDR, was hit especially hard, and then areas north of that also on the route were hit really hard. And so you're going to see some of the workarounds that we had to do in order to release the route. And you can get through with the tracks that we have posted, but they're not the ones that we originally intended to go through. Those will eventually be coming, and just keep an eye on, the updated tracks before you go out and ride a BDR, because that is a little bit of a moving target. You're still going to have a great time out there, but the original intended roads that we want to go on are so spectacular. We're waiting for those to reopen and include them.
Yeah.
And on the Oregon BDR map that people are buying now, the original tracks are on there, and then our alternate tracks that you currently can use. And so the track that people download has the rideable route right now. And as soon as we know that the roads that were affected by fires open, we'll update the track. So important for you guys to download the tracks, the latest tracks, before you go and ride this route.
For sure.
Nathan, when is the best time to ride the route? Any tips on riders who are planning to ride the route this year?
I think the reasonable start recommendation is July 1st. And I think this year we have an especially high snowpack. I think it's 170% of normal snowpack. And so be ready for that. And the way to be ready for a snowpack is to check the BDR website. You go to the interactive map, and then you check the snow layer. And that's going to show you where the snow is and about how deep it is, so that you can either develop a plan to go work around that, or maybe postpone your trip until the snow has melted, which is obviously probably the better option, because then you get to see the cool stuff. Also, make sure that you check the route updates page on the website. There's going to be all kinds of information posted there for current statuses on the route.
Great.
All right. Now, enough with the setup. Let's get in the mood for some Oregon BDR action. Without further ado, let's roll the first half of the film.
Pretty sure it was that way.
I'm Tim James, and I currently serve as board president for Backcountry Discovery Routes. We're in the beautiful state of Oregon right now, beginning the filming expedition for our newest route, the Oregon BDR. The OR BDR will be the 12th route in the BDR series. It's hard to believe that we have a dozen routes already. And we recently just launched our new BDRX concept, which are shorter BDRs that loop. Last year, we introduced the first two BDRXs, and we already have a handful queued up to release in the coming years. We have an expansive team of riders and crew on this expedition, probably the largest ever. Leading the team will be the two route co-creators. Bryce Stevens, one of the BDR founders, has led the development of many of our routes and has been working on this particular route for years.
When I create a route, I'm always nervous as we get to the point at where we're going to ride it and film it, and people are going to form an opinion or critique the actual route. And so I go into these things pretty nervous, and I'll say that actually on this route I was more nervous than any of them.
Leading the ride with Bryce will be Nathan Fant. Nathan is an Oregon native, a rock star BDR ambassador, and has played a major role in the creation of this route.
Riding motorcycles in the backcountry is like, it's what I want to do all the time. And if I'm not doing it, I'm dreaming about it.
We're fortunate to have another Oregon local joining us on the expedition. Our friend Dave Wachs brings with him decades of experience exploring the backcountry of Oregon on two wheels.
The main motivation for me was to be involved in something that will continue to keep the routes open. I feel like it's important to establish a route and keep it open.
Ian Glynn, the Chief Riding Officer at TourTech USA, will be on the team as well. Ian has been volunteering his diverse skill set to BDR in the background since the start, so his presence on a filming expedition is long overdue.
I am probably the rustiest rider in the group. I've been on dad duty for almost 2 years.
We have a special guest from Moscow Moto, Ashley Myrie, who brings tons of local riding knowledge. Ash is a talented rider and just a pleasure to have on an expedition.
I am an avid adventure rider. The BDR is a huge part of what pushed me over the edge of a slight interest in adventure bikes into a full-on obsession.
BMW Motorrad is back this year, and this time sent us Ricardo Rodriguez, the lead instructor at the BMW US Rider Academy.
We are a school where we offer both on-road and off-road at the same facility on BMW GS model bikes.
And finally, from across the globe, we have Tobias Wachter, Managing Director and owner of Edelweiss Bike Travel.
I came here all the way from Austria. I'm going to be riding the Harley-Davidson Pan America, and I'm looking forward to it, actually.
So the Oregon BDR is going to wind up being about 750 miles when we're done. It's not one of our longest BDRs, but it's also not going to be one of the shorter ones time-wise. It's a technical route. This is a rider's route. It's definitely one of the tougher routes. Not consistently, not the whole time, but when you look at the main route's hardest sections, it's just above what we would consider the middle of the road technically. And for that reason, it's definitely one of the tougher BDRs we have. Somebody could easily ride across Oregon from border to border in a day. It would not be hard, but our job is to make it a lot more interesting, and there's things that are going to slow you down along the way.
Moscow Moto headquarters is in White Salmon, Washington, and actually it's where this whole team met up before the trip. Welcome to Moscow Moto World Headquarters. If you come to Moscow headquarters, we do have a full showroom that's got all of our products on display, so everybody is ready. I'm literally the last one not fully geared up and ready to go. The trailer looks like it's ready to be shut, and we are going to start the Oregon BDR.
So we are in Denio Junction, Nevada, and this is the official start of the Oregon BDR. We're going to get gas here. We recommend that everybody fills up here, and we recommend going into the store and getting everything you can need to eat and drink for this next 150-mile section. So Field Station is a great alternate starting point. They have lodging here, restaurant, they've got high octane non-ethanol gas, and it's a little bit shorter and closer, making the first push a little bit easier from a gas standpoint. All right, everybody, it's our first day, welcome. So the Oregon BDR is going to be between 700 and 750 miles, and that's over 9 days. So most people will be able to ride this in about 5 days. We're making it 9 days because we've got to put together a film. So today, section 1 has 0 services once you leave. It's a long section, one of the longest sections on the route. And we're going to go over Domingo Pass, and then we have a very long day of mixed roads. So we're at Domingo Pass right now. This is how we cross over the Pueblo Mountains to start heading west. 20 minutes into this thing and we've already had a lot of rocks. I think that might foreshadow what we've got for the rest of the day and the next few days.
It's kind of the first stepping stone in your challenges on day 1 in the Oregon BDR. There are a couple of switchbacks that are loose and rocky.
We're just picking up some trash here at the viewpoint. As users of the outdoors, we like to see it clean, and we know everybody else out here does as well. Speaking for myself, I know I'm not perfect. I might eat a granola bar and lose a wrapper or a water bottle blow out of my backpack somewhere. Ashley actually started it by picking up stuff, and I knew I had trash bags, so now here we are just doing a little cleanup.
Coming down off the pass, I see a mama cow and baby cow running across the plains, and next thing I know, she just comes out on the roadway, just checking me out, checking her out. So when you're out here, be mindful to yield to the animals, so nice and slow, let them get by.
So you own the ranch out here?
Well, this is BLM ground. We just kind of lease it. You got a right to be here, and like the cows too.
Yeah.
So
we try to be super respectful of ranchers and cows, and anybody that's involved in using the public lands, because it's here for all of us.
Yeah,
and we need cattle, we need adventures. We need to get out here and enjoy this backcountry.
Well, we've got cows, as soon as you get past Oregon End Ranch up this way, we're in the process of moving cows over to Domingo Pass. So what do we got? KTM, Honda, KTM.
I love letting people ride my bike.
Well, you guys have fun. Keep the rubber side down.
Southeastern Oregon is the most amazing place in the world to ride motorcycles. You feel sometimes like you're on a different planet throughout the day riding out here.
You can generally cruise along pretty good, but you do have to be mindful that all of a sudden you could hit a silt bed, not really be able to see if there's a rut or anything under it.
Usually it's like, my God, and that stuff's slippery.
It's relatively easy riding, but with a lot of surprises.
The sand and the silt is for some people will make them pucker, but it's something that most riders will be able to get through without issue. But boy, sand and silt can be deep and it can be a challenge.
If it's been dry for a long time, they get pretty poofy, and you could get swampy in the poof for sure.
Oh yeah, it's getting poofy, isn't it?
Keep your guard up. Scary, it comes quick. I don't know that there was really a good line, but we definitely found the deep line.
One thing that's going to be a major factor here is dust. There's a lot of it. There's a lot of dusty trails.
So make sure if you're riding with other riders in the group that you're giving yourself some distance there, and just stay out of each other's dust. Otherwise, it'll be too late.
I think it was Ian right behind me, and he got kind of covered in dust.
There's a lot more of that coming.
Half of Oregon is desert, and most people think of it as rainforest, so the desert is challenging, especially if you've never ridden, and it can be intimidating because it's a harsh environment.
I think the Oregon route is going to have some technical challenges. It's approachable for most people, but it's also something that kind of brings up the bar maybe a half a notch. It's going to challenge people to up their skills game, to get some training before they do it, to get some practice on their motorcycle riding in the backcountry.
I love desert riding. I like when the terrain is changing a lot, but in these like super subtle ways that you can read from really far away and then make slight adjustments to your riding technique. I like vast open spaces. There's something about the lack of objects that just helps my mind feel really free.
We just went through a section kind of up and over these rolling hills and across these ridge lines, and then it opened up into a pretty wide gravel road, but it had these great like dips and then back up, so it was kind of like a roller coaster. You lost your stomach a couple of times as you did those dips. A lot of fun.
So the section we just did was really exciting actually. You could barely see the track and there was some rocks hidden underneath the grass. We made it up through a little hairpin turn and everybody's here and we're all safe and sound.
Keep your eyes on the track and go slow because it'll bump you right off the track. And then there's a real hairpin steep hill climb. Keep your momentum and stick with it, you'll make it.
Went a little wide coming down the hill, changed from right to left, and there's this piping in the grass. When I tried to come back in, I just got the edge of it and off we went.
Everything's intact, no broken bones, everything's good?
Yeah, everything's
feeling good?
Yeah.
This is called DL Spring. It's a year-round spring, and it's fed by snowmelt. Now, usually there's a huge, really beautiful white drift of snow up there until about now. It's probably a couple weeks gone. We had a pretty decent snow this year, so the pond's filling up and spring's flowing. You can drink the water.
We're all filling our water bottles. It's a good place to do that. And for some people, might actually be a nice lifeline.
Oh man, we're gonna head up to the big view on top of Beatty Butte.
Right there, that little hump right there behind the hill. From where I'm standing, it's almost 3 miles to the top of that hill. How many times have you been to the top?
I think this would be 7 or 8?
That's awesome.
Yeah, a lot of times on a lot of different bikes.
The whole southern part of the Oregon BDR is rolling hills and desert sagebrush, and Beatty's Butte gives you an opportunity to see for miles. You basically just lean back and hold on and straight uphill for a couple of miles till you get to the top.
Love Beatty's Butte. It's probably my favorite thing on the route. You get that feeling of, gosh, I just accomplished something really hard, and look around, wow, the scenery is amazing out here.
You know, the whole perspective that you had getting up there, that's just something that I'm not used to, and it was really a special experience.
Riding up with Ashley, I was right behind her getting some GoPro footage, and she hit her bike into neutral on accident and stopped in the trail, and we both fell over. Most fun I've had so far on the Oregon BDR. You just stopped out of nowhere.
I would describe that climb as relentless. It's rocky, it's loose, it's fun, but you never get a break. You just gotta press on and...
If you have any question about attaining the summit, there is a crux. Don't want to tear it up, you want to make it all the way up. You want to make it smooth around that corner and set up. It's only like 50 feet or something like that. That's where it gets everybody. So just if there's any question at all, just park the bike, take a quick walk over there and look at it, just roll to the top.
Be high five, Bryce.
Yay.
Woo!
It was actually a little worse than I remember it. I don't know if people want to hear that or not. You make that last turn, which is a little bit of a challenge, and then boy is it loose. So feather the clutch and just keep your momentum, and you'll get to the top of Beatty's. That's all it takes.
Just keep rolling. Don't stop. That's probably the biggest thing.
Gnarly rock, everything's just, and it's so steep, and if you didn't keep your momentum, and the rocks, they kept getting bigger the higher we came, and you're just getting bounced. Like, before you know it, you get bounced further left off the trail. I ended up having to just come to a stop, regroup myself, and luckily I was able to get it back started and make it the rest of the way up the summit, so I'm excited. If you make it to the top, it's so rewarding. It is worth every bit of work to get up there. I can't even explain the feeling you have when you're up there. It's like you're literally on top of the world.
What happened, Ash?
Oh, well, you know, got a little nervous about being the last one up, knowing everybody's waiting for me, and just biffed it a bit. The challenges, I think, make us all really vulnerable. The challenge of the terrain and all the normal things of a motorcycle trip, but like times 1,000, because we're trying to do this enormous one all at once.
You got to commit to the high side with your foot.
I just love riding so much.
Hey, go, 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 feet up.
It's like, where's your head at? And if you have the foundational knowledge and information to like ride relatively well, it's where's your head, and like that's whether you're gonna get up it or not.
You got it.
And the view from up there is out of this world. There's an old geocache for anyone who takes the expert route and makes it to the top. We'll see notes in there dating years and years back. I think my oldest note is like 6 years old in there.
I've been working on this route for so long, and it just feels really good to share it with people and have everybody also experience the magic that is Beatty's Butte. So definitely highly recommend. I think a lot of people who are have the skill set to make their way up there are going to find this to be incredibly rewarding. Beatty's Butte is one of the magical gems on this BDR route, and if you have the opportunity to go up there, you definitely should do it.
I love going downhill. Everything just feels smoother and faster when you're downhill. All you got to do is take your eyes from the track and just look up like 2 degrees, and you've got your full peripheral vision, horizon, mountains, everything. It's stunning. If you are feeling up for the expert level challenge, you got to check that out. It is super, super cool.
And we're on our final push of day one towards Hart Mountain, and we're riding on a section of road that is about as rocky as they get on this Oregon trip. Lots of embedded rock, pretty slow going.
I love desert riding, so the first part of this ride I was super comfortable, and I love riding rocks. It's, to me, that's fun. That's super technical, you know, not particularly fast, but I like that.
There are a lot of rocks, at least in the southern part of the state and central part of the state. We need to set an expectation for this route that there are going to be sections where you're going to be riding and suffering through, at times, double track roads with lots of rocks. There's challenges of all types, but I really think the roughness of the track is going to be the biggest challenge.
Our training is really visible here. Skill sets that we teach at the Performance Center, preparing people for this type of terrain and environment. Out here you've got sand, you've got rocks, you've got some ruts, you know, all things that elements that we cover at the Performance Center. You really see it out here and putting it to use out in the wild. It's just been a fantastic day.
I think this route is really for somebody who is an enthusiast of riding a motorcycle in the backcountry on dirt roads. The route lends itself well to folks who have some experience. I would not send somebody out who is kind of like just getting their feet wet in adventure riding. This is like the enthusiast version of a BDR.
So we're here at a closed gate for Skyline Drive. This road heads up to the high reaches of Hart Mountain. We as a team consider this one of the best roads on Section 1, if not the best one. So it's kind of sad to be here and see the gate closed. A little bit later in July, it's probably going to be open, and by August for sure it'll be open.
Day one, we're going to camp at the Hart Mountain Hot Springs, which is in the Hart Mountain Antelope Refuge. We'll finish at the hot springs and camp there and chill out after a pretty tough day.
I don't know if I can do this. Like, shit. I really don't know if I can. Like, I thought I was like badass pulling 10-hour days on the bike. This is like, this is intense.
12-hour day is a half-day ride.
Were you prepared when you got here? No. I was gonna say that, but you know, thank you for telling on yourself.
Our two special guests, Tobias and Ricky, are hilarious. Those dudes are old souls that, honestly, they're gonna tell you they haven't met before this trip, but it's a lie. Those guys have known each other for years.
We did not know each other before the ride, thankfully.
Yeah. What? What kind of relationship were you trying to have here already?
You would have thought they were brothers. They immediately went at each other.
Who threw the first punch?
That
Austrian.
was this guy here.
Absolutely not. You started it with "Don't be that guy."
Did not.
Once the first punch was thrown, it was nonstop for the rest of the ride, and it was entertainment, pure entertainment.
This guy said, "That's not something that would have came off the top of my head," and I'm like, "Well, it came out of your mouth, it's on your head." So.
The Heart Mountain Hot Springs, it's a wonderful oasis, especially after that rocky desert, and to go soak after that, yeah. If you know that's coming, it's another payoff.
In the Heart Mountain National Antelope Refuge, you will most likely see antelope running around. Yield to any animals you see and just be on the lookout.
When you come down the side of Heart Mountain and you can see the wetlands down below and everything is so verdant and green, and it's just a really beautiful descent, one of the more picturesque descents right at the beginning of the route.
This view is just absolutely fantastic. Normally there's water filling this whole area, but I think there's a little bit of a shortage of water in this area this time of year.
All the snow from here on this side of the mountain will melt down in, and then everything north of here too will melt down into this basin. In at the Heart Mountain store in Plush, Oregon, getting ready for the next leg up into Coyote Hills. It's about 100 miles, wouldn't you say, from here?
Yep.
The route we're going.
So as we're creating routes, we are looking for towns that are interesting for riders to see, but at the same time, we're looking for smaller ones, probably need an economic lift. We want to keep their stores open, we want to keep their lodging open, we want to keep their gas stations and mini marts, if you want to call them that, open.
The towns are so small, they're limited hours. You can't always get the supplies you exactly need because the stores are so small and the towns are so tiny. I think that the challenge is going to be to make sure you're self-sufficient, bringing everything you need.
Everybody's struggling, some of these small towns, and this is going to be really beneficial for those communities because this is the perfect demographic. You can see some of the business owners going, wait a minute, this is going to be happening all summer? Great!
The money that the riders bring in can literally save a town.
Up next is Coyote Hills, and we're kind of at the foothills of it, but it is like one of the highlights of this particular section of the Oregon BDR. Once you get off the main gravel road here, you turn onto some two-track, and it's a little bit sandy and gets a little bit rocky, and the two-track kind of splits levels, so you've got a high line and a low line, and you get this great view of all of the surrounding hills and valleys and everything, and it's just kind of rugged country out here with rocks sticking out everywhere, and there's kind of a beauty to that sparseness, I think.
So we just got through Coyote Hills, which was this incredible two-track that just kept hitting you with different challenges, lopsided tracks and sand and ruts and rocks all kind of mixed together. We had a nice long climb up a really deep gravel road, which is a little sketch in the corners because you've got gravel this deep and you've got to stay focused and try to stay in the wheel track, but just loose on the bars, kind of get your weight back a little bit. This is BDR gold out here. This is a great find, and I think it's going to be a big hit.
That power line we're riding, that energy is coming from Columbia River and going to Los Angeles.
That's not right.
That Cruise Tools duct tape coming in handy.
There you go.
We're going through the remnants of the inland sea.
as it dried up, it left this wonderful bed of nice sand. So you can kind of predict if you're in that sand, as long as you're at that specific elevation, it's going to be sandy. As soon as you go up just a little bit, it's going to turn into rocks.
So ahead of us, we've got a little bit of a challenging road. It starts out nice and fast gravel, and then it just progressively gets more and more challenging. You'll see sections of rocks, and then they'll ease up a little bit for a while, and then all of a sudden it'll just start turning more and more longer rocky sections.
Pay attention in these roads, pick good lines, make sure your tire pressures are set appropriately, and just be careful going through this. I mean, this is some of the hardest parts of the main track of the Oregon BDR.
Take your time, slow down, make sure you've got good sight, long enough down the trail so that you can predict what's coming ahead, whether it's sand or rocks or anything that the trail's going to throw at you.
Pretty sure I pinch flatted my back tire. Well, it's flat, but now we're setting up. We're probably going to be here for half an hour, dinking around with this. In general, just assume that something will happen during the day, and your day is going to be longer and hotter than you think, and bring all the water you can. A minimum of a gallon. If you can bring a couple extra liters beyond that, it's not a bad idea. It's weight that could potentially save your life if you're stuck out here.
If you get a flat out here, you get your buddy to just be your umbrella boy, and it's no big deal. Makes a big difference. Make sure you have good tires, good rubber. I never come out here with a half a tire, ever, because I have done that and I learned.
Somebody's been skimping on changing tubes when he changes tires. That's nasty.
Make sure you are capable of fixing a flat, you're comfortable with that. That's probably the biggest thing, is people getting flats. Be sure that you can manage that. It's important to be self-sufficient. Nobody's going to come rescue you. It's very, very remote. In the lower 48, this area, the beginning especially, is the least populated part of our country.
Mr. Observant noticed liquid dripping from this fork seal here, so we're going to do a little investigatory. Oh wow, not much investigating. That's leaking pretty good.
What I would do is grab your flat blade out of there, get it in there far enough, and then give it a nice twist. And you're going to have to keep moving the flat blade all the way around the places that you can reach. There it is. So this is a Risk Racing fork seal cleaner. It works maybe most of the time. I've had it work a lot of times, but what this does is it goes in to the oil seal between that and the fork tube and cleans out any dirt. Most of the time this oil is coming out because there's like foreign material, dirt, rocks, little pebbles and stuff in there, creating an issue with seal. We're going to kind of stab it up in there, and it's going to leak.
Sure.
But we're trying to rotate it
and spin it up in.
Yeah.
The first 3 days were extremely challenging, going through deserts, and it was just constant rocks, sand, hills, just being thrown at you all at one time.
In the beginning, the texture for me was a very hard and very raw feel, one that wasn't even very welcoming to me because I'm not that familiar with that area. The entire time it's very hot and very exposed and very remote feeling and very raw. I've been off motorcycles for almost 2 years. Physically, the punishment of the desert honestly helped to kind of knock some of the rust off of me faster. I find myself as I'm riding through areas like that thinking about the native peoples that would have lived in these areas and thinking about how challenging it would be to scratch a life out of this kind of desert area.
Folks who were riding the original Oregon Trail, they kind of saw that same view of Oregon. I think that's the biggest part about Oregon, is that it's kind of a time warp back to that, settlers' days. You can really see what they saw along the Oregon Trail. Gosh, I really just felt like I was transported back to the Wild West, like I was a settler. That was the mission. We were trying to deliver something that gets people way out in the backcountry.
I want to give you a big hug. I just had the most fun I had on this entire route so far. That 2-track was just so fun, littered with sand and rocks and ruts, and it was just so much fun.
It's like a dance with the motorcycle, You're like skipping over the hot tops of rocks, sliding through the sand. So we wanted to give you a heads up about something really important here. In this particular section of Fandango, behind us there's a cattle guard that's sloped quite extreme. You really need to slow down before you hit this cattle guard, because the consequences of hitting it incorrectly or too high of a speed could be pretty disastrous. So just be really, really careful in this spot and slow way down. Then eventually you'll get to the top of Fandango, take a look around, you can kind of see all the area, and then you'll drop into Christmas Valley for hopefully a nice refreshing drink.
going to try to do some laundry today, so I figured why not use my socks to wipe off all my GPSs and my TFT screen. I can't do it because I can't bear the smell of my socks.
I hit a rock in a corner really hard yesterday. I was convinced I was going to pinch flat, and I didn't, but I found this morning. Got some exposed cord.
Number one, the Moto's tires that are on the trailer. Eli, those tires are up for grabs.
Start out with a fresh set of tires with knobbies. You know, a 50-50 tire is not going to cut it on this route. So a knobby tire that's absolutely brand new, a well-maintained motorcycle that's going to get you through. Some of the parts that we are in are really far from motorcycle shops. Carry tubes, because there's a lot of rocks and you could get a pinch flat pretty easily. Make sure you have enough water and the mental mindset of just that endurance, especially through the high desert if it's hot, being really prepared for any eventuality that could potentially happen out there.
We're on the Milliken Road. This is heading north, and we're going to be getting into the big Ponderosa Pines here in the next hour. So this is all going to change quite a bit.
We're headed up into Pine Forest, and we've had really good luck with roads today. They've been not too silty. We've had a nice breeze blowing the dust away, so we've all been able to see the trail just fine. Yeah, looking forward to being at the river tonight, actually. Jumping in, cooling off a little bit. It's pretty warm out here in the desert.
The bush, and then over the little hook there, right? When you close the gate, make sure you're on what side?
On the right side.
Come on over, Ricky. There we go.
Perfect.
And that's how it should look.
So I think one of the things that I'm most excited about sharing with people riding this route is getting into the Cascades. I think people seeing how diverse this route is something that I think will wow people.
The first 3 days, pretty hardcore desert, but the payoff is the Pine Forest and the Deschutes River and our ride right along the wilderness boundary on Forest Service roads. And so there's quite a change, you know, from where we were a couple days ago.
Okay, so this is the road going up to Pine Mountain. It's got a lot of whoops in it.
All right, guys, awesome view. Let's take it back down to the campground. We're just ripping through those trails that are in the China Hat OHV area. 2-track, just all these whoop-de-doos in it, and it was amazing. It was like coming out of a BDR into a special stage in the woods. Things might have gotten a little carried away.
but everybody made it out safe, and I had a blast.
Yeah, I had a blast too. Actually, we were riding together, so.
Yeah, super sweet.
The Harley did great. It was a lot of fun. It bottomed out a couple of times, but yeah, the bike took it like a champ.
I just swapped bikes with Ricky. This is a BMW GS water boxer.
You know, this is my efforts of converting riders over, right?
I really like it. It's got a ton of power. The brakes are bomber. The balance is good. It's got a low center of gravity. It just wants to go.
Definitely a valiant effort. We'll see if it works. This is a plug for the BMW conversion.
Now just cruising down a fast gravel road, heading out to the lake, get some lunch.
Well, this particular area of Oregon used to be an active volcano, and these lakes are really just a gathering of rainwater and melt-off that has accumulated over time in the craters that used to be a part of this volcano. And there's a great cafe that you can come to if you're in the area and you're hungry. So this is about a 10 to 15 mile round trip. If you decide to get off the main route, have a little bit of extra time to spend, I highly recommend that you come here and check it out. It's worth the stop. Take a swim in the lakes if you want, if you're hot, and it's just a great little stop along the Oregon BDR route. It really highlights the volcanic history the state has.
Ian, what time are we gonna hit camp tonight? I want to reach out to Gary.
Yeah, I don't have any cell service here. Are you going to use this Solio?
Yeah, so this thing just connects to the app on my phone, and it'll directly text to Gary. So I just wrote ETA to camp is about 7:30.
Bryce found this. I was kind of trying to keep it a secret.
We discovered this on our very first scouting trip, and we knew that this was what we call BDR Gold. You can't really get any better.
Basically, just kind of carve your way all the way down this. If you don't have fun on this, you won't have fun anywhere.
Yeah, it's a luge.
It's the luge.
Yeah.
It is just like downhill sledding, man. You could just freaking fly down that trail and have the most fun. There's like little step downs of rocks.
Having this much fun is probably not legal.
Each lane has a really nice, smooth, bermed track, but it's super fun, and that's what makes it the luge. Every corner has a berm.
That luge was made possible by the fact that we were out of this flat terrain and getting up into the hillsides. Those were snowmobile trails, and they were traversing the sides of terrain rather than crossing these flat pans.
This section here feels like home. Picking up a pace and enjoying myself, caught air off a few jumps. I feel great. I love it.
Liquid gold! What an awesome way to end the day. This is Oregon BDR Section 3, and it is a must-do.
That is an absolute keeper. So much fun. You got to be careful because sometimes there's some logs that are running parallel with your track, and that's a little tricky to navigate around.
Beware the joust.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Riding the original Oregon BDR 10 years ago, I had one of my worst crashes ever. I woke up in the dirt, and when I picked up my pannier off the ground, this is what I saw.
Holy cow. I'm so happy that wasn't my leg.
So it's funny, when I look back at the way I remember sections, I tend to remember some of the more challenging sections, but I forget that there are good, fast, easier, flowy sections in between. There's challenges, and then there's the bliss. There's the flowy bliss stuff, and then there's challenges again. And I mean, that to me, that's what a route's all about. It couldn't ever be all easy, and it can't be all hard. It's gotta be a mix. And I think the Oregon route has a very good mix of challenges and flow and just this good feeling.
I wish I had is those little nifty camping chairs you guys have. Like, you guys break those things out like ninjas, put the little sticks together, and boom, you got a great seat.
Campgrounds were definitely a surprise to me too, in a good way. We were almost always near a body of water. Being near water and camping was one of my favorite parts for sure.
That's cold.
The meals that I made on the expedition were like, I did kind of a stir fry one night. Yeah, we had some good meals.
we need to unplug as human beings. We're not built for the amount of stress that society is putting us through. And so getting out into the backcountry and really unplugging and unwinding and experiencing just the freedom of being out here on a motorcycle and camping, that is just so amazing to be able to, it's a humbling experience to be out here. And I think that it's an awesome opportunity to recharge.
Hey all, we're back in the studio. I'm Ina Thorn. I'm here with two co-architects of the Oregon Route, Bryce Stevens and Nathan Fant. We hope you're enjoying the film. Now we want to take a few minutes to answer some of the questions that were put in the chat. The first one being regarding the support truck. Folks are interested in riding this route with a support vehicle, which is what we do when we do filming expeditions. Is it possible to take the same route, or what is our recommendation for a support truck?
The support truck should not take the same route. What we do in filming and what we highly recommend is that the support vehicle meet at a set location, set in time. It's pretty easy. If you get out your Butler map and take a look at it, or other atlases or whatever you have with you, to find a paved route, or even your phone, if you've got to Google map it and find the way to get there for the support vehicle. It's going to be on a paved or faster dirt road, and meet up at a set time and a set place. But for safety recommendations, we think people should have some sort of satellite device, because there's not, at least for the bikes on the route, they're not going to have good cell service. Mm-hmm. So what did we use? We had
on the route when we did it, we had a Zolio between Ina and the support truck, and she was able to use the app to communicate our time that we were going to be at the location, and we could get a confirmation back from the support truck. And so if we had any issues, we could communicate through that Zolio app using the
we were in constant contact with Gary, I think, the whole time using that. So it's good for safety, and it's also good for convenience.
Yeah. So
knowing where people are at.
So we can't post the tracks that our support truck took, but you can figure that out using the Butler map. Mm-hmm. All right. Second question. Part of our mission is to support local businesses along the routes. So my question to you guys is: do you have a favorite local spot that you maybe would recommend people don't miss on this route?
Yeah, absolutely. The biggest mission part of the mission of the BDR is to support local businesses along the route, providing financial, benefit to those communities. And for me, there's a personal story attached to Detroit, Oregon, and I want to encourage you, as you pass through that town, to spend some money there. They need that support. You're going to see here coming in the film, the next part, there's a section where we interview the owner of the Rivers Run gas station in the town of Detroit, and she has you'll see some emotion in her voice when she talks about what happened to her station that unfortunately burned down in the fires in 2020. And they have a temporary setup there. Fortunately, it's the only place you can get gas in town, so you're kind of forced to support them, but it's a great thing for her. So my recommendation as you're in town in Detroit, just spend some money there, buy some food, supplies, gas. That would be it.
And that's really where we can make a huge impact to really help rebuild that town by passing through it. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
All right. Another question was on the distance between the gas stops and whether or not small bikes with much smaller tanks can make it through, specifically Section 1.
Yeah, the longest section we have without gas is about 150 miles, and it's Section 1 from Denio Junction, our starting point in Nevada, up to the town of Plush. So if a bike can make it 150 miles, they should be fine. If they can't, then we recommend carrying extra fuel, an extra liter or two or a gallon. I mean, it's better to be safe than sorry. And that 150 miles also includes the alternate expert section that goes up to the top of Beatty's Butte. So if you're bypassing that, it makes it a little bit easier. But in general, our saying at BDR is don't pass gas. And what we mean is if you come by a gas station, top it off, fill up your gas tank all the way, and make sure you're going to get to the next gas station for sure.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the diversity of bikes on the expedition. We had a wide range of motorcycles on this trip, right?
Yeah, we had the smallest bike was a 650 Thumper. It was Dave's XR 650R.
Yeah, kickstart.
Kickstart
cool.
bike. Yeah. And then we had a couple of 1250cc machines. The Harley was a 1250, and then we had a 1250 GS. Then we had everything in between. And Ina, you were riding a...
Well, I wasn't riding,
I
remember?
know, but you were...
If I were riding, I was going to be on the 701.
701. So we had medium-sized bikes and we had large bikes. We didn't have any small ones, but you could definitely do this on a smaller bike. We've always said you could do this on any budget, on just about any bike. One of our top recommendations is put knobbies on whatever bike you're riding, because that makes a huge, huge difference. Yeah. And also training, right?
Mm-hmm. Nathan, what time of year? I know we mentioned that before, but just to reiterate, what is the best time of year to ride this route?
You know, as with any BDR, it's going to depend on the weather, but in general, we're saying July is the first time that you can ride this route because of a couple of reasons, mostly to do with snow. We're having extra snow this year, so it might be mid-July before you'll be able to get out on the route this time. But again, looking on the website, making sure you're checking that snow layer, that'll give you a lot of info.
Great. Well, I think that's about all the time we have for questions. Just a couple announcements before we start watching the second part of the film. We have 2 BDR X routes that are being released this year. The first one, which is the Steens Mountain and Alvord Desert BDR X, that shares the starting point with the Oregon BDR. That is going to be released on Wednesday, June 7th. And if you're wondering where I was on this Oregon BDR expedition, well, something happened before the Oregon expedition that didn't allow me to participate in this film. And that was a big tragic thing that happened. I'm not going to disclose it right now, but if you want to find out what happened, join us on Wednesday, June 7th for the online broadcast premiere of the Steens Mountain and Alvord Desert BDR X. Actually, Nathan and I will be heading over to the Moscow Moto headquarters in White Salmon, Washington. Pete Day, the co-founder and CEO of Moscow Moto, will be co-hosting that live broadcast with us, and we'll be releasing the film and the tracks on that day. So mark your calendars. Wednesday, June 7th, 5 p.m. Pacific is the release of the Steens Mountain and Alvord Desert BDR X. And then the second release we have coming up is the Black Hills BDR X in South Dakota, and we'll be doing that during the Rivzilla Get On ADV Fest in Sturgis, South Dakota. The dates for that rally are July 20th through the 23rd. We'll have our whole crew there, BDR booth. We'll be selling merchandise. The live broadcast will be happening that weekend. We'll be releasing the film and the tracks, and you can ride that route in its entirety right after the rally. And then we have something else happening.
Yes, very excited for a great opportunity for you aspiring filmmakers or anyone who loves to document their BDR adventures. I might be included in that.
Yeah, you are.
To showcase their 100-second film at the annual BDR Film Festival. We've had a great showcase of films in the last 3 years, really spectacular, and they keep ratcheting up in quality over the years, man. We were just talking about that during the break. And we're going to do it again. So that's coming at the end of September. Get ready to submit your films from this summer. Get your helmet cam, your drone, your cell phone footage, whatever camera you've got. Put your BDR creative hat on and make a 100-second BDR film that everybody's going to love. So submit it to the BDR, and we'd love to see it.
Great.
Now let's play the second half of the film, and afterwards stick around because we're going to have final remarks here from the studio.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Right. We had a very special guest, I'll actually call him VIP, on this project, Glenn Johnson. Glenn is one of our biggest donors and also the reason that we fundraise the way we fundraise now. So this guy has really made a huge dent on our fundraising efforts and goals. We wouldn't be where we are today without this guy. So thank you, and thanks for being here, man.
So I'm here supporting the BDR, and in addition, I'm one of the older people on the ride, so I'm supporting old men riding BDRs.
I got very specific instructions from the office. Don't break Glenn, please.
I always have a concern that it is not going to go as well as I hoped. But I also know that the disasters make for a good film. So either way, I'm going to be a contributor to today's endeavor.
Today's a shorter track. It's 65-ish miles plus a little expert section up to the top of Three Creeks Butte and back. We've got a pretty mellow day, actually. It's about 65 miles from Sun River to Sisters, and some spots where it's a little bit technical, but mostly it's just kind of a mellow, fun, beautiful riding day in the forest.
Man, what a beautiful day in Deschutes County in the Pacific Northwest. Go Oregon!
We're heading up into the higher reaches of the Cascades, probably about midday before we descend down into Sisters.
I'm riding a Honda CB500, 50/50 tire on the front and a 70/30 tire on the back. It's a rental bike that I picked up in Bend. So this is my first dirt miles on this bike, and it's performing pretty well.
Considering this is the quote-unquote main road, even this is pretty gnarly and challenging, a little obstacle course. It's very slippery. This is very slow speed, technical, challenging riding for sure.
Got out of the woods, back onto the main gravel road here, and then we reached the section where it was just deep poof. If you're riding with a group and you're coming down that, realize it's a whole lot of dust, visibility is very low. Give yourself some room, slow down. You want to know it's there before you hit it.
You don't see what's in front of you until you're in it and you don't have time to react. I can't say enough to modulate your speed so that you are always falling back behind that dust line, because you can really trip yourself up if you get caught in that dust.
It was really sandy, really thick. I'd say a good 4 or 5 inches in some places, and you see these ruts, but just pick your lines, stay looking ahead, and watch out for the sand traps because they're out there.
We are just west of Bend on some Forest Service roads that are pretty close to town, and this area is known as a cyclist area. There are established trails for mountain bikes and stuff, and so as you're passing through this area of Forest Service roads, remember to slow down, yield to those cyclists, and wave and smile and make sure that they have a positive memory of their experience of seeing adventure bikes, because it's real easy for us to maybe do the wrong thing, and we want to make sure we're doing the right thing in this area and making people feel like we're welcome too.
Beautiful snowy mountains off in the distance over there. Right now we're at 5,200 feet. Get up to some high, cool elevation today.
This route gives you something to look forward to when you know you start in the desert and you have that destination of getting into the cool forest where we are now. When you start getting into the central and the northern sections, it looks like these rolling hills of dense forest, and then bam, there's a massive volcano sticking out covered in snow.
The vista's opened up, and suddenly you're out of the woods and you see the mountains in the distance with the snow caps. It's an aha moment.
Oh man, the riding is just spectacular. Nice 2-track banks both sides of the road, so if you want to get play and go to both directions, you can really kind of pick up a little bit of speed here. But as always, make sure that you're riding within your limits and be safe.
Things are going very well. I'm much less terrified and much more having fun.
It's a great reward to be able to make that transition and feel like you not only accomplished something as a rider, it almost gives you the sense of being a pioneer and crossing this uninhabitable terrain to get to the reward of forests and rivers and lakes and streams, and it's been quite a journey.
Oh, we're at the Three Creek Lake Bait Shop and Treat Shack. This is a great family place. I taught my son how to swim here, and pretty fun. Water's real shallow and it's kind of warm.
Look at the fish over there. They're rolling around right there. See that? Loop.
Is this your fishing hat?
Now it's my fishing hat. This way the fish aren't intimidated. You can't come in here looking all tough.
The Oregon BDR has 3 expert summits: Beatty's Butte, 3 Creek Butte, and Cache Mountain. All of them are short, but they are all hard. They're actually all different.
The expert sections are not what you want to start on, especially when you're doing your first time on a BDR.
If you're not very experienced with steep and loose rocks, you may want to skip those, but if that's something, if you want that kind of challenge, these 3 summits offer some nice expert challenges. And the payoff for getting to the top of any or all 3 of these summits is amazing, because the views are wonderful. In all cases, you have 360-degree views.
Woo-hoo! 3 Creek Butte!
Yeah, nice way to end the day.
It's a good challenge. It's a 1-mile expert section that I think everybody should try, as long as you're okay with loose and large embedded rocks. And I think every one of us struggled.
That was way more intense than anything. Worst thing you could possibly do is slow down.
We did it.
Yeah, we did.
We might both be
and
in
we
the
won't
film.
forget it.
So we're on the top of 3 Creek Butte, South Sister, Middle Sister, North Sister. And then we have peekaboo views to, I think, about 4 other volcanoes. I can see Jefferson. I think somebody saw Hood through this gap. I think it's Three-Fingered Jack. Mount Washington's up there. So I think we can see 8 volcanoes from right here. Pretty impressive.
Well, after that epic ascent to the top of this gnarly little mountain, this is my reward. Got a nail in my tire. There we go.
Nice.
A lot of nails up here. People are burning pallets. That happens a lot. A lot of places, anywhere basically that you see a fire ring left behind, do yourself and all of us a favor and pick up a few if you can.
We're gonna leave the summit and go back down this gnarly loose road. In a situation like this, I'm gonna try to keep my weight back on the bike, keep my speed down with the front brake, but not using too much of it. Use the rear brake to steer as I can, but these loose stones really make it all very difficult for any kind of braking, so you really just kind of also want to try to roll right over them as smoothly as possible. And we've made it to Sisters, Oregon, ready for the next half of this adventure through the Cascade Mountains to the north.
Man, you eat.
Do I?
A lot.
As a European, really, the food is something special here, like eating all that junk food, really. I really enjoyed that part.
But you stay in great shape somehow. I mean, I have a shape, but it's just, I'm getting there.
Beautiful town. This is really nice, and I'm looking forward for the second half. We all got energy, ready to go.
Yep.
Yeah,
definitely.
Sisters is sort of a transition point in the route. You're going to see a lot of the scenery change as we start to move further north, and it's going to look more mountainous and less deserty.
We're finally out of the endless sand and rocks. So far, this whole trip's been sand and rocks.
All right, guys, this is Skylight Cave. Let's go check it out. Welcome to Skylight Cave. We're here, and this is why it gets its name. I mean, it's like kind of a skylight in the roof with sun shining down, and it gives it this really spectacular beams of light. And I think it puts the discovery in backcountry discovery routes. We're out here, you know, getting off the bikes and exploring. Yep.
If you're not into the cave diving part, you can just stay up above and look down through the skylight and heckle your friends. Oh no, I dropped my gum! Then I dropped my gum because I was laughing.
But we retrieved it.
Yes, thank you.
We are at the kind of the base of Cache Mountain, and this is an expert section. You get to decide whether you stay on the main route, if you go right here, or go left up to the top.
All right, let's do it.
The road up here has got a mix of just about everything. You've got big rocks, little rocks, you've got sand, just everything that you can throw at you all in one spot. If you're up for a challenge, that road is going to give it to you.
And the road just gets a little bit more challenging the higher up you get.
I would say it's the easiest of the expert sections we've done on this expedition, but still no slouch.
The lava rock here in this state is sharp and abundant, and it's going to slow you down.
Definitely an expert section, but well worth it once you get to the top.
So I dove my front end and took a little spill off to the left. My arms were pretty tired, so I didn't want to take off right away, and I got passed by a freaking Harley.
My goal was to get through the loose red stuff without dabbing.
And?
I did it!
Wow, nice work.
So you're gonna see all kinds of mountains in every direction here. You're gonna see Three Sisters, which is amazing. You're gonna see Three Finger Jack, Mount Washington, and then off to the north, you're gonna see Mount Hood, which is just the spectacular viewpoint. It's actually the first time we've really seen it on the route, and I'm super excited that we're seeing it for the first time.
If you want to be the best friend on the trail, you're gonna pack leftover pizza from last night, put it on the exhaust side pannier, and get her fresh and warm.
But it's been really fun riding with everybody. I feel quite privileged to be involved in this project.
It's so sad saying goodbye to Dave. I'm gonna miss the tequila.
I hope everybody enjoys the BDR Oregon. It's a wonderful ride.
Definitely worth it to come up here. Really beautiful.
It's been so nice getting up into the mountains and having trees and having cool air and having the views that you get from up high rather than the views that you get from down in these giant Great Basins. To me, this landscape now feels so much more inviting, more welcoming. It's like the mountains are bringing me back in.
I elected not to go up the expert slope because I'm not quite to that level. But it's been very pleasant sitting around here, looking at the scenery, waiting for everybody to come back.
I've found that the BDRs in general are approachable on a big bike by an intermediate skill level rider. There'll be things on there that the intermediate rider probably should bypass. Some of the expert stuff is really expert, but the overall ride is easily doable by somebody who has been off-road for a little bit, has had some training, or is just good at it. The intermediate rider should be totally comfortable on all of the BDRs that I've been on.
You've got to be comfortable with sand. It's not in every section, but it's in a lot. And it's places we wouldn't expect. You get up to the mountains and you're like, oh, there's going to not be any more sand. And you get to the top of a mountain and there's sand.
If you love riding sand and whoops on a heavy bike, you're gonna love it. While we were going through, we found a little extra credit section. There's a spot where the route took a left-hand turn and we saw a nice dark gray sand dune up ahead of us. I think it's volcanic ash and something else really heavy. And I had to follow another rider who decided to go for it. I couldn't let him be the only one. Went out in the sand dunes. I got real sloppy in the poof, had to take a nap in the dirt. Made it, got back on it, big circle around, it was great. Lots of extra credit to be had out there. Go get some. Just had to go for it, had to commit, failed.
I had a blast, well, except when I got harpooned by a branch that was sticking out in the trail. The harpoons sticking out from the side of the trail are definitely a threat. We'll probably go that way. Snap it this way.
Yeah.
There we go. All right.
That's yours. Oh boy.
Paying it forward.
Sure enough, we come twisting through the woods and it's like nice and tight and a little bit technical, some rocks in there, and then you start to see a few trees down on the side.
It was eventful, wasn't it?
Yeah.
There was a lot going on.
A lot of stuff going on, very beautiful. a really cool area with a bunch of down trees that been cut, and just a nice little path you had to wind through to jump over little stumps and keep on going.
The worst thing you could possibly do is just grab a handful of front brake, stay nice and steady on the throttle, maybe in a lower gear, go nice and slow, and just roll right over it.
It's got a lot of texture. I mean, what else can I say? It's
texture.
Texture, that's it.
We were riding down a nice easy gravel road, and I think I picked up something off in the edge of the road. I don't know what it is, but my tire has gone flat. And now I've pulled out my Cruise Tools Road Tech kit, pop the wheel off, change the tire. So when you're changing a tire on the side of the road and you only have a center stand, you need to make sure you bring pizza with you so that your buddy can sit on the passenger seat and keep the front wheel off the ground.
I can't move.
Yeah, you are at this point as critical as you will be in the entire process.
We are in Detroit, Oregon, and this town was unfortunately hit by wildfires in 2020 and has really devastated the town's local economy. Most of the businesses and homes have burnt down. A lot of the trees are dead in the area, and unfortunately, it did put a scar on the landscape. As you can see here, we're at the Rivers Run gas station, and they've got these containers as a temporary solution to the buildings that unfortunately burnt down.
We had a deck that overlooked the lake, and it was in a full deli and a grill, and it was really nice.
Are you hopeful that the town will revive? And
Yeah, it'll be a few more years, but it'll come back. It'll be different, but it'll come back.
Yeah, that's just total devastation. Yeah, that's the pumps and then everything else around here.
So as you're passing through town here in Detroit, I highly recommend that you spend a little bit of money to help revitalize the economy, buy some food, get some lodging, buy some fuel, and just help build the businesses back up in this town that really need our support and tourism dollars as you're passing through.
yeah, we did last night. We dropped $300 in tacos last night. That's good.
We are in Detroit Lake State Park. That lake has a whole ton of boaters and recreation. This whole area is basically a recreation spot for Salem and Portland, and kind of all the local towns come here to recreate, camp.
I think it's a personal journey, it's a group journey, it's challenging in ways that you could just never imagine. Yeah, I really haven't laughed this much in so long. It's been so fun. I don't know how to account for that other than the fact that I've just lost all concept of time and what date it is and where I'm going really. Like, I sort of have a general idea of where we're at and where we're going, but I just don't really care. I'm just here. I'm having such a great time. I'm sad that it's coming to an end soon because I feel like I've just sort of gotten into the groove and gotten used to it. I don't want it to end.
So we've got an easy day today, relatively speaking.
Today's ride is going to be from here basically to Lolly Lake. We need to make 20 miles worth of actual as the crow flies distance, but because of all the Forest Service roads being closed down due to fires and reclamation and that kind of thing, we have to go the super long way around on the pavement. It's about 175 miles.
So this year and this time of the year, we're going to face some extra challenges. There's some lingering snow in a few places, and then we're also dealing with some fires over the last couple of years. It's going to delay us.
It's early July, and that's really unusual for this place to have this much snow this time of year. Unfortunately, we're going to be turning around and finding a different way through, but I'm confident we're going to make it through.
The fire issues are pretty significant. They had some pretty major fires over the last couple of years, and it's going to force us around things, specifically south and north of the town of Detroit, which was really hit hard by fires.
In the future, the hope is that we can, reopen those sections that we've been able to ride in the past and scout. We think that are particularly great sections, but unfortunately, they're just still closed at this moment. They may be closed for, a number of years to go, and as well, you might find yourself riding through burned forest. Know that that's just a part of the Western state BDRs. As fires are just a reality of what we're dealing with.
Lolly Lake was a real nice campsite. We had like a fire site, we had some picnic tables there.
You can see the mountains out in the back, and it's really beautiful, nice atmosphere.
I got here and our neighbors said they caught 18 trout today, some of them as long as like 16 inches or something like that.
So we're on the second to last day. After tomorrow, when we finish, everybody just goes their own way. Nathan, you want to tell us what we have on the agenda for today?
So today's a little bit shorter of a day. We've got about 71 miles to do today. The typical Pacific Northwest woods riding. There's going to be a little bit of mud, hopefully, unless it's all dried out, so you guys are going to enjoy that. Lots of dense forest canopy. There's a few spots that I can remember where it gets really tight and you feel like you're riding through a tunnel of trees. You're going to be bashing your handguards and stuff on brush and bushes and stuff. One thing to be mindful of out there is that there are limbs. Be mindful of where your panniers are. We don't need to have any motorcycle jousting happening out there in the woods. I think there's going to be a little bit less dust today than we've seen in the past, but there still will be dust, so make sure you space out and you can see plenty far ahead. Oh my gosh, it smells like horse dookie.
I can smell it in my helmet. I don't think it's inside my helmet, so that means it's just permeating off of my body. And
you did a great job.
Hey, thanks.
Woo! The number one thing about adventure riding is that you have to be flexible. You have to be able to roll with the punches because, you know, these environmental issues that close these roads, very few people ride these roads. You know, it's not like a freeway where the maintenance crew is coming through and clearing out the freeway. It's like you might get a Jeep or two a week in some of these spots, and not everybody is able to clear the roads like cutting down trees and that kind of thing. And the snow sort of melts when it wants to. You know, this year we had a really heavy snowpack and it was late in the year, and so I think that's going to affect us.
On these bikes with the tail lever, the boxers, it's real common to pinch a sidewall. And so I just did a quick spin all the way around looking for a pinch sidewall. I didn't see anything on this side, but over here on the opposite side going around, found this right here, that big ding in the rim. That's enough that the tubeless tire here is no longer sealing against the inner surface of the rim. So what we got to do is pull the wheel off the bike, tire off the wheel, put a tube in.
If you're going to bring a new bike on the Oregon BDR, prepare to drop that bike and prepare to be doing some work on that bike. I don't think anybody can ride this end to end without pinch flatting or almost pinch flatting and doing some dents in the rims.
Bryce got his flat rear in the desert first, and then I got my flat front, and then Sterling picked up the nail, and then Gary got a flat tire in the support truck, and now we got Ricky with a flat front here, so we're up to 5.
Bye, Ian.
Okay, heads up. Let's huddle up. We're all tired. We've been riding for 10 days now, and we've all got home on our mind, right, at this point? Yeah. So let's stay focused and finish strong.
This area was a way for immigrants to come into Oregon on the Oregon Trail. As you're riding through, some of this stuff was actually wagon roads and places that people used to pass through to the Willamette Valley from, you know, where they're coming from, the East Coast or whatever, on their journey. And we're going to see some really historic things as we pass through this part of Mountain Hood National Forest. So this is a grim reminder of one of the hardships that families had to endure along the Oregon Trail as they immigrated to Oregon over the Cascade Ranges. We're at an unknown gravesite of a woman who unfortunately passed away in the 1840s on her trek to Oregon, and this is just another piece of history that you're going to find along the Oregon BDR route that it's worth stopping by and at least checking out. We're at kind of the base of Mount Hood. We're at the Barlow Wagon Trail entrance where you can ride part of the historic Barlow Wagon Road, which is a really, really cool thing. So back in 1846, Sam Barlow created the first overland route over the Cascades, connecting the Dalles to the Willamette Valley for those folks emigrating on the Oregon Trail out to their final destination in the Willamette Valley. Unfortunately, about 10 miles ahead, there's a bridge that's out, but we are saving a bit of Barlow Road for the future portion when it opens up, and you guys will be able to ride the historic wagon trail, which is a really great opportunity and honor, honestly.
Yeah, the final section of the Oregon BDR is epic volcanoes, high ridges, tough, challenging rocky roads. You're going to feel like you're in the Rocky Mountains, but you're going to see what the Cascades can throw at you. The final day is a great way to end the BDR.
The last day of a BDR expedition is a little emotional, and I already hear it from the entire crew here. Everybody's a little bit sad that it's over, but we're ending on a pretty epic note here.
All good things come to an end, and so we're just about to have our last day, and yeah, it's kind of tough.
I almost cried during the riders meeting this morning. I can tell it's going to be one of those days. I'm already really sad. It's like I'm upset with myself because I'm absorbing the last day by already being sad about something that's not yet gone, but I'm really sad for it to come to an end.
I've loved every minute of it. It's kind of sad to be coming to an end, but I'm looking forward to this last pass.
Some of the highlights today are going to be Bennett Pass, quintessential Cascades mountain riding. It's going to be absolutely amazing, and I'm so glad we get to do it on our last day because it's going to just blow your mind.
Oh man, this is such a beautiful ride. I haven't done it in a while, and it is just a treat. If you have never ridden in the Mountain Hood National Forest, Bennett Pass is out of this world.
Definitely a little bit more technical than the Jersey Turnpike. I'm having a great day, and I think we're going to finish this route really strong. This is an awesome BDR.
Coming up on Surveyor's Ridge here soon. Our last bit of big rocks, and then it's all downhill from there. We'll be down at Hood River this evening and say goodbye, and it'll all be a memory.
For those of you who did the expert sections, it's going to be sort of familiar because it's going to have that look, and Nathan loves to say that texture. So be ready, be loose on the bike, just enjoy. Great ride.
This road coming up to Surveyor's Ridge is very, very rocky, and I managed to find one that wasn't firmly embedded in the ground, kicked it up with the tire, and bounced right over it with the Touratech skid plate. All's well that ends well.
All of the bikes made it through the Oregon BDR. All of our riders made through it safely. And I think the impression from the team is that the route was great to ride, and it really did showcase the state of Oregon well.
I think it's going to be a popular route for the crowd who are enthusiasts. I think people who are dyed-in-the-wool adventure riders, they just live and breathe adventure motorcycling, I think it's going to be the route for them. We're showing them the best parts that we've found that are unique and different for our own flavor of a BDR, and I think they're going to really, really love it.
We're all going to be able to take this project that we're working on and put it out into the world and expose people to the awesomeness of Oregon.
I would love to do another BDR. This has been just an amazing experience for me. But I'm going to get my momentum up so that I can clown with this guy
Grow a pair.
little bit more. And see what happens here. They're going to leave that off the film just because. Grow a pair.
I haven't been away from my daughter or my wife for more than 48 hours for the last 2 years. I am very much looking forward to seeing them again and giving everybody a hug.
The Oregon BDR has quite possibly the most spectacular finish line. You come upon this hill and you get this spectacular view of Mount Adams right in the distance, and that's your signal. It's the first time you've seen it that you know you're getting close. Once you wind down into Hood River and you get a view of the gorge, that's the finish line right there. You can see it, unlike anything else, is this huge river separating Oregon and Washington. Get this sense that you've made it through this epic journey.
I think that's a big part of doing a BDR. The satisfaction that you get from completing something that's not particularly easy.
I'm very happy with how it turned out. It's been one of my favorite trips, and I think that if I did it again, I think it would feel the same way. My perspective is that this is going to be a very popular route.
I think it's got a little of something for everyone. It's a really special route. This is my fourth. You're gonna get lots of bloopers.
John, you're being
My name is Nathan Fant, and my role in the organization is to do whatever Ina says to do.
I like to be naked when I'm at home.
You want to sit on my lap? No. Huh? Come on.
Already starting with the bloopers.
Does she sell seashells by the seashore?
It's only on Sundays.
You're trying to make me cry. It's not gonna happen.
Ricky Ricardo. It's not Ricky Ricardo, it's Ricky Rodriguez.
So this is a grim reminder of one of the hardships that people endured as they were passing over the hardships of the Oregon Trail. And we are super excited to be able to, should we do that again because of the squeaking brakes?
Not always just about riding dirt bikes.
Hey everyone, we hope you all enjoyed the film. We're very proud of this route, and we know many of you are planning to ride it this summer. And I know you will have a blast. So we want to thank the presenting sponsors of this route, BMW Motorrad, Moscow Moto, Gaia GPS, and Edelweiss Bike Travel, who stepped up to support this project and believed in our mission of delivering riding opportunities and sustainable economic relief to rural communities. And also huge thanks to all of our industry sponsors, and of course to you, the riders, our wonderful community. We've been monitoring the chat while you were watching the film, and it is so heartwarming to read all of your comments. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the support of our community. You're all part of creating these routes. And huge thanks to all of you for tuning in, supporting the BDR. What else do we have to say, Nathan?
Well, we wanted to remind you guys about a couple of resources. And, yep.
On the BDR website?
Yes, on the BDR website, we have some more resources for you guys to check out. So remember to check out ridebdr.com/ORBDR for all of the FAQ answers to any of the questions that you maybe didn't get answered in the chat below. So we just really appreciate this whole community and everything you do for it.
And there's a Facebook group page that they can join, right, to get kind of up-to-date information on the route, to look for riding buddies. We actually had even a few rescues that were posted on the Facebook group pages, and people came and rescued the same day.
Yeah.
So ridebdr.com/ORBDR. And let's just do one last plug for our commemorative gift that we have for tonight's broadcast. So this little packing cube, you will receive that gift with your $75 donation, and this incentive is going to last through noon on Monday. And Nathan, I'm going to challenge you to pack for your BDR trip in this cube. Do you think that's possible?
I might be able to do an overnight in that trip, just in that bag, including all of my camping gear and stuff that I need to sleep, but we'll see. I'll try it.
Just not the tires.
Yeah, no tires in there. But if I do it and I get it done, I'll post it on my Instagram account at Nathan Fant, and you can see what happens there.
Well, Bryce, do you want to close us off?
I just want to say thanks to everybody for being part of this tonight. Thanks for joining us. We had fun. Thank you guys. And good night.
Yeah, I'd love to have you guys back here again. I think you did almost as good as Paul Gillian, or maybe better. Yeah, so we'd love to thank our sponsors, BMW Motorrad, Moscow Moto, Gaia GPS, and Edelweiss Bike Travel, and all the industry sponsors. We have over 40 corporate sponsors that are companies in the industry that are supporting us through donations, through financial support, giving auction items to our holiday auction, tires, anything we want. Yeah, you name it. Mm-hmm. So. Come see us in person at upcoming rallies. Thank you. Thank you, Derek over there.
Yeah, thanks to Derek here.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in, and go ride the Oregon BDR.
Woohoo! Thanks, guys. Good night.